Hi everybody, it's Cathy, and today I wanted to talk about emotional eating. As I talked about in my video from a week ago, that video has blown up. It has well over 100,000 views, and I never expected so many people to identify with my story. So I wanted to open up and share a little bit more about my very personal struggles with emotional eating. I'm not a healthcare professional. I'm just sharing my very personal journey because I know that my story resonated with many of you and you have asked me to elaborate. So if you haven't seen the first video, I recommend you go watch that and then come back and watch this as a follow-up. So everything I'm going to tell you is for entertainment purposes. This is not medical advice. This is just my story, and if you can identify with me and you might want to try this to see if it helps you, that's the reason why I'm sharing it. So a little bit about me. I'm 55 years old. I was always a chubby child, and I've been dealing with weight issues my entire life. And I have been being the sole caregiver to my husband for the last 29 years. He was diagnosed with cancer shortly after we were married, and we have always had that in our relationship, and at times it's been extremely stressful because he's been very, very ill, and I have had to develop a way for myself to remain present and not fall apart and keep everything going. We had a dairy farm. Whenever we found out that he had cancer, it was 10 days before our daughter's second birthday, and we're coming up on the 29th anniversary, if you want to call it that, of his initial diagnosis. So I'm not going to get into all the details, but it has been a very extremely difficult 29 years dealing with cancer and setbacks, and it's indescribable. But what I want to talk about is how I used food as a coping mechanism and how I'm trying to get away from that. If you've been with me for a while, you know that 2023 has not been an easy year for me. I lost a sister-in-law the end of January. Then my mother took ill and died the end of March. And it was, very traumatic for me. And I still really have only, I think, begun to allow myself to grieve. And that's very important, to allow myself, because I think dealing with my husband's illness all these years, having to stay focused, stay strong for the family, but also for our livelihood, because we were partners. We had a dairy farm. It was just the two of us. There's a lot of stress with just being a farmer, let alone add a life-threatening illness into the mix. So I just wanted to kind of touch on, in the last couple of weeks, I had a little epiphany, I'll say. I'm going to share what I did when I received some very unexpected, potentially bad news, and how I coped without turning to food for comfort. I recently began working with a dietitian one-on-one to help develop a healthy, balanced eating approach to lose weight. As a lifelong member of Weight Watchers, I've never really sustained the loss. I have lost the weight, but never kept it off. And I'm not knocking Weight Watchers. It does work if you work the program. But I really feel for myself, I need to get to the emotions that cause me to eat, because I'm really not a big eater. I really don't care that much about food. I'm not that interested. I could eat the same thing every day and I really could care less. But what I do is whenever I'm eating, I really make bad choices. I load up on lots of sugar, lots of unhealthy carbs, high-fat foods, and that has just been something that helped me get through the difficult times. And at the time, it wasn't the best choice, but it was how I found a way to deal with everything. I really feel I have to stop numbing myself with food. Food is my drug of choice. Some people numb themselves with beer, drugs, what have you. We're all different. In self-reflection, I really feel that for me, I was using food as a coping mechanism, as a way to soothe myself. So I'm really enjoying this new way of eating. It is so nice to not have to worry about food or think about it, like counting calories or points. I literally, every time I go to make breakfast, lunch, or supper, I will think about a healthy balance of protein, healthy carbs, and vegetables. There's a lot of people that don't like this way of eating. That's fine. I respect you. Please respect me. This is working for me. I feel by working with a dietitian and just taking away, having to count points and worry about food, that has helped a lot. So last week we received a phone call. My husband had been seeing an ear, nose, and throat specialist because he's been dealing with sinus issues off and on for the last year. So the doctor sent him for a CT scan and saw that he had, some polyps and might need surgery. Not right now, but later on. But he noticed whenever he was examining my husband, a lump on the side of his throat. He did a biopsy and we got a phone call last week that it's cancer. I can't tell you how I felt receiving that news, and I found it particularly cruel because it was almost 1 week to the date, 29th anniversary of his first diagnosis. We weren't expecting this news at all. We thought maybe he just needed surgery on his sinuses. Was not expecting to hear the cancer word. And it really felt like a Mack truck drove into my stomach because I literally saw the last 29 years of my life, all the bad feelings, being scared, angry. It just all like flickered by in a flash, and it took me to a very dark place. And I was feeling like, you have to be kidding me. Like, how is this happening again? Especially just having lost, 2 family members, my mom and my sister-in-law. So it really knocked the wind out of my sails. It shocked my husband. We don't know any further details. By the time you see this video, we will have already been to the cancer clinic. We're meeting with a radiologist and a cancer surgeon. I'm really feeling knots in the stomach and a huge lump in my chest because not knowing for me is the worst part. Like, just pull the band-aid off, tell us what it is we got to do, and we'll get through it. That's how I attack things in my life that are difficult. But before working with the dietitian, I probably would have went through the drive-through, maybe got some chocolate bars, just something to shove those emotions down. And I know that there's a lot of judgment when some people may see, somebody that's overweight, and I think sometimes society will say, oh, they're lazy, or oh, they just sit around and they stuff their face all day. That is not the case. You don't know what people are dealing with in their life, and you may think that you know someone, but you don't know their everyday life and what it might be like. So when we got that news, I had planned on filming 3 or 4 videos that day. And just before I was to hit the record button, that's when the phone rang, and it just threw me off for the rest of the day, put me in a mood. So I thought, okay, let's put into practice what I have been learning. I know I'm an emotional eater. So let's just sit with this emotion and just see what comes up. This was not easy for me to do. And if this is something you feel you cannot do, don't do it. Just don't. I'm just sharing my story. So I sat with the emotion and I thought, this is so foreign to me because I'm never really one that cried, because I've been told in the past, don't cry, don't have time for this. And that was a doctor that told me that. So that kind of always stuck with me up here. So I think that's part of the problem. Whenever I was feeling overwhelmed or stressed or sad or angry or feeling any of those emotions, I would just like eat garbage basically just to hold the emotions down. But what I've been finding, and I know this is probably going to sound really strange, but I feel as I'm losing the weight, it's almost like I'm losing bad memories. Does that make sense? And something will pop up and I'll think to myself, okay, I don't need to relive this. Move on. It's fine. I acknowledge you, but I don't care to relive this. Does that make sense? So getting back to the phone call, my husband went outside to cut the grass. That's how he copes, keeping busy. So I was in the house alone and I just sat in my chair and I closed my eyes and said, Cathy, just let yourself feel. So the first thing that I felt, there was a lot of expletives because I was so angry. How could this be happening again? Are you kidding me? Like, life is just, you know what? This isn't fair. Like we've paid our price. We've had such a difficult couple of years the last few years. Why are you testing us with this? And I thought, wow, I actually allowed myself to feel something. And then after the anger and the frustration, the fear came in. So I just allowed myself to sit with that emotion, but I didn't allow myself to stuff my face with food. And it was really eye-opening, because I'm actually quite surprised that I have gotten through the last week without going on a binge of eating garbage. And there have been a few instances where, we've been talking about the what ifs. Like, we don't know what's headed our way. Like, maybe it's an easy fix, maybe it's not. I hope it's an easy fix, because I just can't deal with that right now. I was kind of feeling the other day very stressed out, and it was pouring rain out, and I just popped into my head, I need a vanilla milkshake. And I don't know if you ever get this, but whenever something's put in your head, I want it. I want it now. I want it yesterday. So I was going to get in the car, drive 20 minutes to go to a Dairy Queen and get myself a vanilla milkshake. But then I thought, what can I have right now that will satisfy me? That is a healthier choice. And if I still need that vanilla milkshake when I wake up tomorrow, I'm allowing myself to have that vanilla milkshake. This probably sounds really ridiculous to somebody that isn't an emotional eater, but I believe if you are like me, you can relate to that. So I said, well, I have some Oikos vanilla yogurt, and I have some blueberries and raspberries. Why don't I have some yogurt with berries? It's not a milkshake, but maybe it will just help me over the hump. And it did. And I didn't think about the milkshake until the next day, and it was like, nah, I'm good, don't need it. I was so proud of myself. And I know, like, this may sound really ridiculous, like it's really nothing, but I believe to an emotional eater, somebody that is used to pushing their emotions down by using sugar and bad food to help us get through those difficult times, I think that someone watching this video will see themselves in me and can relate. So of course we had to tell our daughter, and that made me very anxious and very sad, because who wants to see their child in pain? So our daughter was here after work, and we told her, and of course she was upset, because that's all she's ever known is her father being sick. She was almost 2 whenever he was first diagnosed. So I was feeling extremely anxious and just needed a quick fix. And I said, okay, well, if you need something, it's understandable, just have something. So I had some Rice Krispie Squares in the cupboard, because my husband likes to eat them, and I like to eat them once in a while too, but not when I'm trying to lose weight or get healthy. So I got a Rice Krispie Square, and I sat down at the table and I opened it and I took a bite, and I thought, oh my gosh, this is so sweet. And I'm thinking, hello, is that you, Cathy? Has an imposter invaded your body? That was such a foreign concept for me to say that something was so sweet. I am the queen of sugar. Sugar is my drug of choice. I have always been a sugar addict. And I thought, given the circumstances and how I was feeling emotionally, and the heaviness, the darkness of this news, I was so proud of myself that I acknowledged that. I finished eating the Rice Krispie, but still I see that as a victory, because I'm finally having some awareness about what I'm putting into my body and what I shouldn't be putting into my body. And it's taken me 55 years to get here, but I'm so thankful that for the most part I am in good health. Every day I thank God that I don't have a disease. I just have hypothyroidism and migraines, and it's really truly a miracle that I have gotten this far in my life without having high blood pressure, diabetes, or some other disease. And I do not take that lightly. I am extremely grateful, and I know that I have to continue on this health journey because I certainly don't want to end up getting sick. And like in the last video I talked about, think of your body as a car. So as if I had a car that was 55 years old, it would be pretty rusted out and probably in pretty bad shape. I kind of use that analogy whenever I'm thinking about my body. And, you know, I don't know what my pipes inside my body, what kind of shape they're in. I presume that they're good, and I want to keep them that way because I want to live to be, you know, 80, 90, and be mobile and enjoy my life and be able to travel and move my body without any pain. And another revelation that I've been having is I'm not bringing candy into the house, and I've noticed that in the evening my joints aren't aching like they used to, because I know that sugar can inflame the body, inflame the joints. And sometimes, you know, climbing the stairs from the basement up to go to bed at night, my knees would hurt, and I thought, oh, it's just old age. But no, it's the inflammation in the body from the sugar. So that is another small step. And I think if I keep like building these little small steps, that eventually it's going to keep me moving in the positive direction. And I'm really fighting for myself, and I really wish that we didn't have to deal with this crap again, because it feels like somebody put a very black 1,000-pound cloak over my shoulders, and I just feel the weight of the last 29 years. But I am doing my best to just push forward, do the best that I can. That's all I can do, is just do my best, take it one day at a time until we know what we're up against. And I pray to God that it's, you know, not serious. That's all I can do for now. And I just wanted to share that with you because, you know, if I seem distracted or, you know, just having a difficult time, or I'm not like bubbly, you know that I have some stuff that I'm dealing with in my personal life. And once we know what we're dealing with, I will be sure to let you all know. But I just felt that it was important to share this little victory that I had with emotional eating. Maybe, you know, if one or two of you resonate with that, it will help you. That's kind of what I'm trying to do now whenever, you know, I feel stressed or I feel like I really need something. Like last night, it was around 7:30 at night. We were watching Netflix and I felt a little hungry, and I thought, oh, I need something to eat. I need something. And I thought, no, just think of the hunger as your body, as little Pac-Man, and they're going around and eating all the fat out of your body. So I felt like, oh, okay, I'd rather, you know, lose weight than have something to eat just to, you know, give my boredom or whatever a fix. I wasn't truly hungry, and I knew that. It was just, I guess, habit. I'm really fighting for myself, and this also probably sounds way out there and ridiculous, but I swear in the past, every time I have tried to put my health, losing weight, or exercising as a priority in my life, somebody always gets sick. That can't be a coincidence. I mean, it's just so annoying. It has to be like a test. I know it's some sort of a test for me. And usually I would just give up on myself and, you know, fall back into old patterns. But for some reason, I just feel different this time around, and I hope that I continue to feel this way, and no matter what comes my way, just find a way to cope. And that's not saying, like, I might have a day where I just can't deal with anything and I'm just having like a Big Mac and fries. But that's okay, because if I only do that once in a while and not every day, that's a huge victory. Because I'm human, I'm not perfect. Nobody's perfect. I should not expect myself to be perfect 100% of the time. And somebody wrote in a comment, you're awfully hard on yourself. Yeah, I am. I'm my own worst critic. Nobody needs to tell me that. I don't know why I expect such high perfection from myself, but I do. And that is also something that I have to work on and, you know, give myself some grace and pat myself on the back whenever I've done a good job, and not chastise myself if I've had a slip. So my reason for sharing this with you today is not for sympathy, but rather in case somebody is thinking, what can I do? Like, what is one change I can make instead of mindlessly eating? Maybe, you know, just asking yourself what's really bothering you will just get you over the hump, and then you won't want the chocolate bar, whatever it is that is your comfort of choice. So thank you for listening to my story. Thank you for listening to my video last week and being so kind with your comments. It's not easy to stand here before you in such a public forum and share something that is so deeply personal. I decided I had to share this today because it touched so many of you, and I know that a lot of you tell me that you can see yourself in me. If this one little thing helped me, maybe it can help you. And I am working on a healthy snacks video, but I can't tell you when that's coming. Like I said, I got a lot on my plate right now, so I'm gonna do the best that I can to keep up with my 3 videos a week. Might have to pull back to 2 a week, because if I have to go to the cancer clinic, we live an hour and a half away from it. I'm just not gonna have a lot of free time. I'll keep you posted, and thanks so much for listening. And if you haven't seen my video about my first month weight loss results following this new healthy eating balance plate approach, I'll link it here, and I really think that it might be beneficial if you go and watch it, especially if you can resonate with my story. Thanks for spending time with me. I appreciate you. Bye.